Hello, everyone. Well, thank you for joining us at the mobility meeting from the French American Chamber. We are at the present time having everybody coming in and joining us for the webinar. So thank you for joining. We're going to give it just a couple minutes before starting the presentation. Thank you. Good morning, everybody. Thank you so much for joining our webinar this morning, this afternoon, depending on where you are, about mobility in Ohio. I am sharing my screen. I hope everybody can see it. And during the next few minutes, we're gonna go through the agenda, a little bit of how is that webinar gonna go. That way we give a few minutes to additional participants to come in. But for a question of time, I'm just gonna start the presentation. So again, thank you everyone. So the agenda, my name is Cédric Rouge. I'm the Executive Director of the French American Chamber of Commerce in Ohio. We have a pleasure this morning to have Alina Harsatasanu, Senior Manager in JOBSOHIO, and we have Johnathan Bridge, also Manager at JOBSOHIO, that's going to tell us about the benefit and all the advantage of Ohio in the automobile industry, but mostly on the mobility. So thank you for joining us this morning. And following Johnathan, we're going to have Kirt. He's going to tell us about his program that he's doing in Ohio around mobility. And we are very pleased to have Vincent Padel, Product Manager at Valeo. He's going to share his experience on as a French company, as many know Valeo, and he's going to explain his experience in Ohio and how it is to have a business and activity in the state. So during the webinar, don't be shy about asking questions in the comment. We have Alexandrine that is going to help us answer your questions and remind our speaker that they have a question pending, and hopefully we can answer them as we go. If we cannot answer all of the questions, we'll be happy to follow up and reach out to you to make sure that all questions are answered. And this webinar is recorded. So finishing the webinar, we will send you a link and also a presentation as you may want them. So you can review the webinar, but also forward that information to your coworker or other connection you may have and may be interested about mobility in Ohio. So, and just before we do a transition over to Alina, we'll take a quick survey to get a poll on our activity here in Ohio. So you see the poll showing up in your screen. You're welcome to answer right now. Quick reminder about the French American Chamber of Commerce of Ohio. We're here not only to network, but to help you come to Ohio and develop your business as a French company. So we touch The main industry in Ohio are advanced manufacturing, automobile, aerospace, polymer, advanced material, food, beverage, IT, fintech, and everything around healthcare and biohealth. So we will assist you with all those type of services, such as market research, prospecting, executive support, especially with the travel difficulty today. We're here to help and support you locally. So reach out. And we have a full network of attorney, accountant, and can help you for your move to Ohio, obviously, to expand your business. We know that your businesses are all different, and your development in the US is changing depending on where you are on your stage. Are you exploring? Are you already importing in the country? Or you're looking to already soft land and develop your business? So let us know where you are, and we'll be happy to help. So again, thank you for being here this morning. I'm gonna stop sharing my presentation, and Alina will be our first speaker of this webinar. Thank you again. Alina, let us know if you're okay to share.
Yes, hello everyone. My name is Alina Harsatasanu. I work with JOBSOHIO. I've been working with JOBSOHIO now for 2 years in attracting European businesses to Ohio. I'm sorry, I'm having a technical difficulty moment, I guess. There we go. Hopefully you can see it.
Yeah, perfect, Alina. We can see your presentation. Thank you so much.
Okay. This is the small agenda for today for me. I just want to talk a little bit about the outlook of the French and international investment in Ohio, and also tell you a little bit about what we do on an organization and how we can support companies such as yourself interested in entering the U.S. market, not necessarily Ohio, but the U.S. market. Of course, we hope you will land in Ohio, but there's only so much we can do to influence that choice. You have to understand that our state is incredibly big. We're talking a fifth of the population of France, a fifth of the surface. In order for us to manage better the relationship with the companies on the territory, when we were created, I guess. To build capacity, I guess organizational model was decided to include the 6 regional partners. For those of you who are based out of Cleveland or have an interest in Cleveland, I strongly encourage you to get in contact with my counterpart, Mindy McLaughlin, who's actually on the line today. We are a private, non-for-profit entity, and when we were created in 2011, the objective was to create an entity that would drive job creation and new capital investment to Ohio through a series of business attraction, retention, and expansion activities. Many countries, I guess, have shown an interest in Ohio. We have about 49 countries, 50 countries that have a stake, I guess, in the state, that employ 260,000 people in the state. I would mention, as far as the trade with France is concerned, that we have a very balanced, I guess, import-export relationship that $3 billion worth of goods that are split relatively evenly, which is relatively rare. So out of those 260,000 people, some 7% are employed by French-owned companies. As you can see from this chart, Japan has a significant chunk of that foreign employment, and that goes back to a historical investment in the 70s that kind of put us on the map of the automotive industry in recent times, and is, I guess, at the base of our renaissance as an automotive powerhouse, with tier ones and tier twos choosing to aggregate, I guess, around the Honda manufacturing plant. But JOBSOHIO promotes some 9 industries, and there's significant investment that has been done across those 9 industries. Automotive is only one of them. I guess this is just a small representation of the companies that from the different geographies that have chosen the state and have chosen to work with JOBSOHIO in setting up their business. You will recognize some very well-known names across the German world and the Japanese one as well. And of course, from France, we're happy to have today a testimonial from Valeo, but for SCI is and Saint-Gobain are the other large investments. Throughout, I guess, our tracked history, so let's say 2013, we have done some 20 projects with France, and honestly, as far as the FDI is represented, the order of the countries in this slide is kind of representative for the order, I guess, and size of the investment. Germany and UK have from year to year interchangeably, I guess, taken the first place in European FDI, with France coming in the third place. We're obviously hoping that France will raise in rank, I guess, and in position in terms of investment. The way the companies, and this is again just small screenshot of some of the recent investment, but companies choose to enter the Ohio market in different ways, whether it's greenfield investment or mergers and acquisitions or joint ventures. There's sales office, R&D presence. We try to assist companies no matter what their preferred way of entering the market is. That we can do more when we're talking greenfield investment, and maybe less when we're talking joint venture or mergers and acquisition. But regardless, please reach out. All our services are free of charge, and we're happy to talk and see what you need. So going a little bit more in depth in the services, I guess, and incentives that JOBSOHIO and with the help of its regional partners offers, I guess you can put them into 3 buckets. Of course, the site selection services. Right now we have some 4,000 sites and buildings in our database. My colleagues and I are more than happy to sit down with you and see exactly what you would need in terms of a physical, I guess, location, and how that would make sense considering your supply chain, considering your needs to get your services out to your clients. Of course, the incentives are very interesting, but before even talking about the incentives, please know that there is a series of things that we can do similarly to what the Chamber of Commerce does, where we can give you the necessary information to build your business case for Ohio or for the United States, whether we're talking payroll information or taxation or any benchmarking that you might need done against another state. But let's get to the incentives, I guess. Even the incentives are, I guess you can think of them as three categories. The first being the non-reimbursable grants, which truly can cover anything related to the capital invested. So they can cover costs associated with getting a site construction ready. They can cover costs associated with getting a building up and running, transporting or buying equipment or transporting equipment from Europe, training the personnel, getting permits, and so on and so forth. The second bucket, I guess, is that of the loans. I keep telling this because it's absolutely the truth. I'm yet to find a European company that's interested in the loans they can access in the U.S. Because they can access loans so much advantageously in Europe. And lastly, the job creation tax credits, which basically are counted against the only tax in Ohio, which is the commercial activity tax. Very important in the last, I guess, years, we have developed a talent acquisition service to which, with few exceptions, I think all of the European companies are eligible to apply for, to the extent that the company needs to build a employer branding, to the extent it's concerned about its ability to recruit and maintain talent. We are very, very happy to basically put our services and act as a proxy HR department for the company. I've seen projects where this particular service has been more valued than the actual non-reimbursable grant. I kind of went through this. I will just end by saying that there's much more information where all this is coming from. I understand that 10 minutes can possibly depict all the services that we can put at your disposal or the financial incentives. I'm happy to sit down with you to talk more, but right now I think you care more about the specifically automotive information that you can get. So I'm going to transition to Johnathan Bridges, our director of the automotive sector, to tell you more about our wonderful assets and the opportunities in the state in the sector. Johnathan.
Thank you. Yep. Thank you, Alina. Let me share my screen real quick. Can you see my presentation?
Yes, we can. Thank you.
Okay, great. Well, thank you again for the opportunity to share a little bit more about Ohio and our automotive space. Ohio is and has traditionally been a very strong automotive state. And in that, it depends on really how you measure the automotive space and landscape to really get a clearer picture of where we stand. Typically, you have automotive production and full vehicle manufacturing that's done in the States, and you have a lot of the products and parts that go into, making it a supply chain state. And for Ohio, because of our geographic location within North America, our bread and butter has solely been our ability to be a source of supply of products to many other OEMs and states that border our region and even further away. So when we talk about the importance of our industry in Ohio, one of the things to really recognize is how the industry is transforming. And typically we think about, what we call our traditional manufacturing space, but then we talk about what we're going to lead to a little bit here is the future of our industry. The smart mobility, the connected autonomous and propulsion technologies that will lead us into the future. And as we stand right now, Ohio is the #1 producer of engines in North America. We produce more engines than the entire country of Canada or the entire country of Mexico. And we're the #2 producer of transmissions. Again, more than the entire country of Canada, more than the entire country of Mexico. So again, from the automotive space, what we have really been strong in is our ability to service and provide products that help OEMs and large tier ones assemble and produce vehicles on a larger scale. One other thing that's very unique about our state is that we have 6 light vehicle assembly facilities in our state. And in addition to the light assembly, we have 2 commercial vehicle assembly plants, Navistar and PACCAR, as well as a recreational vehicle manufacturer, Airstream, which does all of their manufacturing out of Ohio as well. This next slide gives you an idea of the concentration of automotive employment and the OEM and large tier ones that support those. Now, as we all understand, where you have an assembly plant, typically because of just-in-time and just-in-sequence requirements, you're going to have tier 1s located near an assembly plant. And then subsequently, you'll have tier 2s and tier 3s that will locate somewhere close as well, all because of the similar requirements. So as Alina had indicated, in our central Ohio region is where we have Honda. You can see that in the light blue. And then we have FCA, which will be which is joining with PSA in our northwest region of our state, as well as we have a number of other OEMs in our state. The other thing I want you to take away from this slide is the concentration of employment. The darker the red, the higher the concentration of automotive employment that exists in our state. And you can see the majority of our state has automotive employment at some level. Maybe they don't have a large tier 1, but they have supply. There are companies there that are in the supply chain throughout our state. And again, as I had indicated before, what has benefited Ohio specifically is the vast number of companies that are in the supply chain of the automotive space. This is just a snapshot of companies that are in various commodity aspects that produce for the automotive industry. But again, it's a very vast and deep industry in our state. And there are many companies that either you can partner with, or you may already have a customer or supplier relationship with that already reside and have existing businesses within our state. What I want you to take away from this is basically 2 things. One, you'll notice is there's a big, large radius. That is approximately 600 miles, 1,000 kilometers. So in North America, the highways are very good, and traffic is at times difficult, but most of the time it's not. So what companies have found very advantageous is to be able to be in the middle of the industry, the automotive industry, set up an operation and supply to multiple companies from that particular location. And so what we have here in the center of this radius is Ohio. And these are all assembly plants that are located within a one day's drive of our state borders. So again, if you have customers or clients that you're dealing with, most likely you can reach them very easily and very quickly coming out of Ohio and setting up an operation. And as we talk about the depth of the industry, one of the things that has also been very beneficial for the industry, not only in the automotive space, but other subsequent paralleled industries is the talent workforce. I mean, the academic institutions in Ohio not only provide a wealth of engineering talent that many companies will seek from outside of our state borders, but it's not only the 4-year degreed engineers that are accessible and available, there's also a large number of technical institutions that reside in our state that will not only provide you with potential talent, but they will help partner with companies to train employees where there isn't a definite need for a 4-year degree. For instance, you may just want a machinist, or you may want someone who has skilled trades capabilities and talents. Those don't require a 4-year engineering degree. But again, partnering with our 54 technical institutions throughout the state, you can find those employees that would suit your operation best. So one of the things, as I was talking about earlier, was the difference in our industry right now, right? We have the traditional space, our automotive manufacturing, and then we have our R&D and the new advancements that are making and driving the industry forward. And a couple of those major R&D assets of our state have helped companies that are outside of North America really find a home and progress and move into our industry. So to highlight two of those very quickly here, we have the Transportation Research Center. So as you know, most OEMs have a test and proving ground. Many have more than one. But for companies that are looking to do testing and they don't have a proving ground, say in North America, or maybe they don't have the capacity at their current proving grounds and they're seeking additional capacity to be able to do testing, or they want someone else to run those engineering protocols on their vehicles as they're being tested, the Transportation Research Center, which is located in our Central Ohio region, is available to do research and testing of automobiles or products for companies. Companies can come in, reside at the Transportation Research Center and reserve and do testing on their own, or they can utilize the engineering talents that happen to be employed at the Transportation Research Center that is in cooperation with our Ohio State University. So the Ohio State University has a Center for Automotive Research on its campus and is partnered with the Transportation Research Center, such that the chairman of the board of the Transportation Research Center, by design, is the head of the engineering school at the Ohio State University. And many of the faculty also have take up residence at the Transportation Research Center that specialize in the automotive space. So again, it gives the opportunity for companies that are looking to partner with an academic institution and do research, or have their test protocols run by themselves or another company. It gives them that opportunity to do all of those things in one location. The other thing I'd like to mention about the Transportation Research Center is that on its site, there is the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration's Vehicle Test Center. So as many of you know, there's a governing body in the U.S., and NHTSA is the acronym, and that entity has its proving ground where it provides its testing for the federal government, again, on the Transportation Research Center's grounds and site. So they have the federal government has one test center, and it's actually housed, again, at the Transportation Research Center. So that shows you even that the federal government believes in the capabilities of this center. The other thing I would like to mention shortly here is when companies are coming in and they're trying to figure out how to be in that smart mobility space and where they can best fit. A lot of states will offer that opportunity, and you will have to partner with particular cities or municipalities, and then multiple municipalities, to be able to do that type of research. What Ohio has offered and has put together, and it has been in existence for the last couple of years now, is out of our Ohio Department of Transportation, there's an entity called Drive Ohio. And what that entity does is basically govern and provide right-of-ways for testing and research to be done anywhere in our state. So if you want to do testing protocols in Northeast Ohio, and you have to go from city to city to be able to do that, other states, you would have to communicate with those cities and get approval. With Drive Ohio, you communicate with them. They provide all of that extra detail, and they will run the ground, making sure that you have the approvals to do those tests. And so a lot of what has been done with the coordination of Drive Ohio is that they've created test beds throughout our state. And so this map highlights some of the test beds, and this map changes pretty regularly. But you'll see all of these dots and dotted lines indicate test beds that are available for research and testing in the smart mobility and connected and autonomous delivery of vehicles throughout our state. And so what we do provide, as you may recall from the other map, is that there's a large concentration of automotive that's done in this sector of our state: Northeast, Northwest, Central Ohio, and then our Southwest region are our major concentrations. But now we've also added some additional activity down here in our Southeast region of our state. So again, there's a lot of activity that's going on in our state, and there's plenty of opportunity for partnerships to be established with either academic institutions or with companies in and of themselves. So again, just a top line before I pass off to Kirt. A lot of what's going on in the smart mobility space, not only being driven by our organization, JOBSOHIO, with some of our grants that are associated with R&D activity, but in coordination with our partners such as Drive Ohio and our Transportation Research Center. All of us work together to provide again, as was mentioned earlier, a soft landing for companies that either one, want to partner in the testing and mobility space, or two, are looking for opportunities to do that activity. So from here, I'm going to pass to Kirt, and I'm going to stop sharing. So thank you.
Bonjour. Sorry, can you hear me? Bonjour, je m'appelle Kirt Conrad. Je parle peu français. Mon féminin a voyagé à France la dernière année. That's where I asked her to marry me. So I guess I have an affinity for France, besides being interested in transportation. So I am the executive director of the Stark Area Regional Transit Authority in Canton, Ohio. The slide that you see here is SARTA. We were designated by the Federal Transit Administration as one of two centers of excellence around hydrogen. We have other partners in this, including Ohio State University, Center for Automotive Research, and Cleveland State University, where we're actually doing research and demonstrations into electrification of transportation around hydrogen and battery electric vehicles. The one thing that we're associated with the Transportation Research Center that was talked about before, it was also designated as a zero emissions testing facility for transit vehicles. And so that is a national center there that we participate in also. Just an idea of some electrification that's happened across the country. These are the number of vehicles around the country that have been adopted. In the Midwest here, these are the transit systems that actually have adopted these vehicles. As part of the center, we have a working group of about 15 transit systems in the Midwest that are looking to go to electrification of some sort of vehicle. We are the facilitator of this. Actually, in the next couple of weeks, we'll be facilitating a visit to a major bus manufacturer's test facility in Auburn, in Alabama. So really, the electrification of transportation is a major focus of the research we do and the partnerships that we have put together. SARTA is basically become a test bed, so to speak, for a number of technologies as it relates to electrification of transportation. We are part of the National Fuel Cell Bus Program that is similar to the EU's CHIC project, where they're funding the electric fuel cell vehicles and battery electric vehicles across Europe. This is kind of a similar symbiotic program with that. We have been funded through that program there alone. Some of the key facts of our organization: we transport about 2.8 million passengers. There's our budget, that kind of thing there. A fuel cell vehicle, which you can see here. There's many components of this vehicle: hydrogen tanks, a lot of very similar to the automotive components that was talked about in the previous slides. The other interesting thing is we have the second largest hydrogen fuel cell or hydrogen fueling station in the country at this location. We're also looking at testing other vehicle platforms around that and either revenue service or other types of service. Kind of interesting, Ohio State actually hosted the Prince of Monaco, and he's there looking at my bus. It was the first time I've had a prince actually ride a transit vehicle with us. I did get an opportunity to speak with him and walk behind the prince. It was kind of an interesting experience. We are actually a leader in research. We've done reviews with national laboratories, including NRAL, which is the National Renewable Energy Laboratory, Argonne National Laboratory out of Chicago. We've also been working with other laboratories out of Oak Ridge and the electrification of both transportation and introducing fuel cells, believe it or not, into aviation. That seems to be a big issue here lately that the airlines are interested in, and so that research is also going on in and around Ohio. Issues with electrification of drones are also happening here. And so I think the whole idea is that we realize that the internal combustion engine is reaching its end of the life, and moving towards electrification is something that we have advocated for and want to support as we're moving forward. Some other projects we've been involved with, we got a $1.2 million grant from the US DOT to do field research on mobile ticketing. The company we're working with there is called Masabi. They're based in London. They're also doing some demonstrations across Europe. This is the same technology would allow your cell phone to have a ticket like when you would board airplanes. This is being done with 13 transit systems across Ohio and Kentucky with about 2,000 buses altogether. So it's a pretty big demonstration of that technology. We were also partnered with another, with Cummins and Gillig, which is a bus manufacturer out of California, under ourselves to develop a new fuel cell bus. Cummins is actually looking towards electrifying all of their vehicles over the next several years. They see that the diesel engine is exiting being used, so that there is a pretty big step and shows you the kind of capabilities that partner we could be. We were also granted another $200,000 from the US EPA to develop a smaller hydrogen dominated vehicle. The platform we're actually using is a Ford Transit Connect. If you're familiar, at least here in the States, the Amazon uses a lot of these as their delivery vehicles. And so this is the first time that platform has been electrified through hydrogen. So working with Oak Ridge National Laboratory and seeing that platform can be expanded to other locations. We've also been granted about a total of $40 million for the infrastructure and the stuff we're doing here. Overall, we're also in discussion with several other companies about doing field tests of hydrogen fueling, hydrogen production, other technologies around that, and technologies around mobile ticketing. So if you're interested in moving that kind of things forward, we have the history of being a good partner with both the Transportation Research Center, some other national labs, and industry partners. And so we believe strongly that we need to electrify transportation and take advantage of intelligent transportation systems and technology to make both public transportation and transportation easier to use altogether. With that, I will turn it back over to the host.
Thank you, Kirt. It was very interesting. I'm gonna now share the presentation of Valeo. if you can unshare Kirt, we will transition on.
Oh,
thank you.
There to go. Okay.
I'm gonna put the presentation on full screen. Vincent?
Yeah, good morning, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Can you hear me? Okay, great. Good morning, everyone. My name is Vincent Padel. I'm production manager for Valeo. I've been in Valeo for the last 15 years, and most of my experience is based in France. And I basically moved to US in 2016. And I thought it was a pretty good idea from you, Cédric, to bring that up. And my title is basically a French business made for a Japanese customer in America. And when I said in America, it was in Ohio. Let me, next slide, please, Alexandrine. Thank you. Yeah, it's basically just a small financial view for the turnover. Valeo is a global company worldwide. We're talking about 115,000 people in the world, pretty much all countries, I would say, represented. We deal with, I would say, all customers. We are tier 1, tier 2 suppliers, and for North America, basically we're around 20% turnover regarding the global business. North America, I would say, for sure, it's not the highest. Europe is basically the highest volume because it's basically French companies dealing with Germans on all the Europe on French cars. As you mentioned earlier, Johnathan, for sure, the fact that FCA got, I would say, a joint venture, I mean, FCA and Peugeot, PSA, merged together, that may get some change between, I would say, businesses in the future. That's one of the things that did happen in France, I would say, 3-4 months ago. And the second change in businesses, it's also Faurecia. Faurecia used to have pretty much Peugeot as shareholders, I would say, in majority. And Peugeot removed his engagement with Faurecia. And that may change also a couple of things in the future, I'm sure, regarding businesses in different countries. Okay, that's it for the financial view. All those informations are today public on the website, on Valeo, and you can get all of them pretty much easily. Now looking for the North America, which is Canada, United States, and Mexico. That all the green dots you can see. All the green dots doesn't mean we produced something. It means it could be R&D centers, could be service parts. Because I forgot about telling you what Valeo is doing, but Valeo is doing all kind of equipment. We said between the wipers, the alternators, or the front-end module, on AGS. Now I'm gonna develop that AGSs later. And we also, Valeo is also involved on the automotive, autonomous driving in electrifications and also battery cooling system. Valeo has been pretty strong on the cooling system because most of the electrifications bringing a lot of battery system on those batteries, battery packages. Batteries needs to be cooled, need to be managed in terms of temperatures because this is what's going to give you the lifetime, which is going to give you more mileage. And that does a very important configuration on a car. This is it. It means for United States now in details, in Ohio, we do have 2 plants, production site. The first one is North Cincinnati, which is Hamilton. Hamilton does basically HVAC for the T1XX platform, which is the Chevy Silverado. When I say HVAC, it's an air conditioning unit, which is a big plastic block with evaporators, radiators, the buttons on the in the cockpit. And that's going to give you a very complex product. The second one is where I am located, which is His Liberty plant. We are just across the US 33, across the bridge in front of Honda. And our plant has been built in 2016, and we are doing front-end module for CRV. And we got a new business. We said new business. We got a new business in 2017 for Tesla. Yes, we are building some parts for Tesla, the Model M3, that we are shipping all across the US to Nevada for the Gigafactory. If you don't mind, Alexandrine, I would appreciate if you can move to the next slide. The next slide is basically showing where, how does it work to build a plant. The picture from July 2015, all those pictures came from Google Map. When you pick up the small buddy and you dropped it on the street, and this is what it looks like. Was a cornfield. I don't know what was a corn exactly, but there was a field in July 2015, and you can see all the steps. We got one after one. You can see the snow in January and March 2018. This is what the plant looks like with the green. You can see the silo on the right. The silo, old plastic, because we do injection a lot. And this is pretty much what we got done in, we said pretty much July 2015 to November 2015. We said we started having, yeah, December 2015, we were able to walk on the concrete, I would say. Okay, that's it for the site. The next slide showing the product, what the product looks like. CRVs, that the high runner for Honda, that the biggest platform. We are talking about 300K units a year. It's biggest bestseller for Honda. For that car, we do the front-end module. It's all the split components you can see on the left. It's basically all components tied together. We're talking about 100 components. Some components are directed by Honda because Honda said, hey, Valeo, I want you to install those components from Denso, from another supplier. It could be a competitor from us. And our added value is just to put all the components together. And as Johnathan mentioned earlier, we deal with a JIT, we call just-in-time process. It means we are managing, I would say, 12 different models. And when Honda is asking for the blue, we need to produce the blue model. But if they ask a green model, we need to put the green. And they want a sequence properly executed to make sure that does fit perfectly on the line at Honda. Today, East Liberty is providing Honda East Liberty, Honda Marysville, and we do ship in Indiana, Honda Indiana, HMIN. This is what we do. We are just in time and we are working pretty much 5-6 days a week. The next product is a Tesla, the Model 3. It started in 2017. We do the AGS, Air Grill Shutter. This is what I'd like to share you a little bit more. That's kind of new, and we started seeing that for the last, we said 5-6 years. We started seeing those AGS, which is basically vanes, louvers that you have in the front of the car. And those louvers will do different things, but basically that will manage the airflow entrance inside the car. The main purpose of those AGS is, first of all, is to manage better the friction coefficient in the aerodynamics, I would say, to basically save some CO2 emissions. The other advantage of this equipment is also to manage better, for example, if you need to defreeze or to unfog your windshields, you'll be able to close those vanes louvers in the front of the car. In that way, you'll be able to warm up quickly everything in your car. We do have a Valeo video on YouTube that I can share you. I forgot about the ratio, basically about the turnover. We do 90% of our businesses with CRVs and 10% for Tesla Model 3. And I'm gonna talk a little bit more about the AGS because AGS is one of the products we do here for Tesla, and we do that piece also for CRVs. Today, every single CRVs do have AGSs in the front. And you can see from the outside, if you look in front of the car on CRVs, you'll see those louvers, black plastic pieces. And the CRVs has been elected in Detroit in December 2015 as the best cars SUV for CO2 emissions results. Don't know if you could share the video, Alexandrine, for me, please.
Yeah, Vincent, the video can be a bit tricky on the webinar. We will make sure, if that's okay, we will send the link to our guests.
Yeah, let's send the link. It's going to be easier for everybody.
Okay.
Yes, the AGS, just the last word is AGS. It's not a Valeo. I mean, we do AGSs, but it's not a lot of suppliers doing that parts today. And that's kind of a big move. It's coming in with the global warming and the efficiency on the car. And as you can see, we do an AGS for petrol car, the CRVs, and we also do AGSs for electrical car, the Model 3 Tesla. In both cases, it's useful, not for warming up the engine on the Tesla, but to also, I would say, improve the efficiency, the aerodynamics. And don't get me wrong, but Tesla needs some cooling system anyway, which is kind of weird, but basically, as I told you earlier, all the battery system need to be taken care with a cooling system. If you can get some fresh air, I would say for free, you'll take it and you're gonna cool down the exchangers to take care of the battery system. When it's too hot, you need to kick off refrigerant compressors like your refrigerator. We have no choice, and that's the way it works basically for electrical car. Okay, that's it for the slide. For that slide. Now I want to make a small takeaway for my personal experience. I came in 2016, and one of the talk I had with my boss at that time in France was, well, you know, going in America, going in that way, and Ohio was a good, don't get me wrong, a good pickup, because choose the kids school, a good kids school, and after get the house on your drive. Well-being is one of the major, I would say, concern or priority for anybody, any foreigners going in other countries. It could be in any countries. His family needs to be taken care of, and we cannot sacrifice anybody, because too many issues came in any companies, any expatriation. Family needs to be, I would say, well taken care. Dublin School, Powell, all the areas, talking about north, west of Columbus, do have great school, and I think was definitively a huge advantage, I will say. Something you need to know as French. Dublin School today do propose, I'm talking about public school, does propose ESL. It's basically a program to help the kids to learn about English. My kids, 6 years old and 8 years old, came in, didn't know anything in English. They started from scratch, and the French community in Columbus is close to zero compared to Indianapolis or other big cities. And the ESL program proposed for free from Dublin School was great to get the kids catching up on the English or American English, which is slightly different. And that was great. I would say that was great. And saying every day, thank you to the school. I'll be able to help the kids. That's something, it's something really, really, really good. The second one, the second topic, the second chapter, one talked about the work itself. Immigration is not easy. And you were right earlier, Cédric, sharing that it's important to have good contact in the attorneys on, I would say, the expertise, lawyers regarding the immigration process, because that can turn to a drama. I heard about different from other companies, whatever, and it could be really, really bad. The legal taxes, it's something I don't know, and I'm not involved too much, but I know it's a lot of concern because a lot of companies coming in US, they have a different name. They change the name a little bit of the company to not be exposed with foreigners, taxes. and be able to build from scratch, basically joint venture or something else. A lot of brand from other countries got another name in US, something it needs to be also taken care of. The last item I want to share is OSHA, which is kind of safety. It's something it's pretty, I think, really strong in the US is the regulation for work, and it's something very, very important, regulating the safety to be aware. OSHA is basically a regulation, kind of government institution, administration to regulate, to drive the rules and to listen to any companies to make it better. On the last items, which does match with everything on top, which is the network. Network in America is very important and key for the success. In all the items I shared earlier, if the network was not there, you maybe not achieve everything you wanted. Many network will help you to get the right person on the right problem or the right issue you want to fix. And it's definitively something that that help daily for any project, I would say. Do you have any questions?
Vincent, that was great. We do have one question pending. I think maybe Kirt can take it, but please type your question in the comments, and we'll use the time we have to answer them. Thank you very much, Vincent. I especially
Welcome.
enjoy, and I'm hoping our guests also enjoy your testimonial at the end about, what is it truly like to be here on site and being in Ohio. So thank you again. Alexandrine, Kirt, can you go over the question?
Yes, hello everybody. So we have a first question. I don't know if it's for Kirt or Johnathan, from Nathan at Hope Carpool. I'm gonna put it again in the chat.
Yeah, what's the question?
Yes, I saw Nathan's question regarding mobility services, and one of our colleagues from, as Alina had shown, our Ohio map and shown the network partners. So one of our network partners who does automotive in our central Ohio region, our One Columbus network partner, Deb Shear, she's on actually this webinar. So I've actually connected him because a lot of what, because Columbus is our state capital, and they've had some recent wins around with the Smart Columbus, and then some of the other activities as was indicated because of the Transportation Research Center, the Marysville projects, and those types of things. They are very far advanced and particularly also because of the Ohio State University, which is a large population of students. So there's a lot of activity that goes on in the smart mobility service space. And so I've connected the two of them to have discussion, but I'm happy to take further discussions offline about that, but I think they're working towards that now.
If I could just add one thing, this is Kirt. With the 13 transit systems that just launched, the mobile app, we are actually working with Uber that you can actually buy tickets and passes on that app. And so there is opportunities to coordinate with both with transit and carpooling to kind of handle that last mile kind of a thing. And that is one thing that I guess we as an industry in the state are really interested in, is cooperating that way with mobility as a service and that kind of stuff.
Thank you very much for answering the question. I think we had a few more questions.
We have another question. Yeah, I'm going to share it with you all. It's from, hold a second, I'm just coming back to the chat, having some issues. Hold, yeah. From Jean-Christophe Picard. Hold, some issues to come back to the chat, 1 second.
And then we until Alexandre get back to our question, we also have Isabelle Bibe-Calignac in our webinar, and she's our French honorary consul here in Cleveland. So she wanted to make sure that you all know that if you need additional information, you can contact them. They have a Cleveland, Columbus, and Cincinnati agency ready to provide information. So reach out to us. I'll be happy to connect you with a consul locally.
Okay, so I'm back. We have a question from Jean-Christophe Picard to Kirt, Conrad. I put it in the chat. I have all noted that Sarta has the largest H2 storage of the area, how H2 is produced, and from fossil material or renewable energy. And also, could you detail where H2 is coming from? Thank you, Jean-Christophe,
Sure.
for the question.
Yeah. At this point in time, what we're doing is using liquid hydrogen. So when we start our project, we were trying to find the most dependable method to get hydrogen. So we're using liquid hydrogen at this point in time. That's we're partnering with Air Products with. But our end goal is to get renewable hydrogen, and that's a lot of the research that we have been doing with Cleveland State is around the various methods to get cost-effective renewable hydrogen. So we're just about ready to publish a study with two potential results. One would be what's called a reversible fuel cell that would actually use solar to produce. The other one is using renewable natural gas from landfill to actually, in conjunction with what's called a steam reformation. But actually trying to get to the point of renewable hydrogen, at least we have found, is it's a long process, so to speak, and I think that's one reason why, at least at this point, we're still with the liquid, because it is, to be blunt, it's the cheapest way that you can produce at this point in time. Even though it may not be completely renewable, it is better than an internal combustion engine, at least from the research we've done on the particulate and the CO2 in even with the methane capture. We are also doing some other studies with Cleveland State looking at carbon capture to see if that makes sense in pairing with steam reformation. And so hopefully that report should be done here within the next, it should be done this year. So hopefully that answered your question.
Thank you, Kirt. I think we're going to take one last question, just unfortunately question of time. We have more coming in. We appreciate all your questions. Please continue to put them in. We will follow up with you and the guest speaker to make sure we answer all of the questions. Alexandre, we had one from Isabelle.
From Isabelle is, I think it's for Vincent Padel. She's asking anything you would do differently when coming to settle in US. I remind that she's the honorary consul in Cleveland, and there are 3 French consular agencies in Ohio, in Cleveland, Columbus, and Cincinnati.
I would say I don't think I would do very, very different. I think if I have to do something, a lesson learned, I would say it is to maybe have a better network. You know, for example, right now, I didn't know that we had a consul in Cleveland. Just a small example, but for example, when we had the voting session for the French president, and we went to Cincinnati. We went to Cincinnati, and my company do take care of all the immigration stuff, and I will say that was pretty much taken care by different lawyers, between French lawyers in France and some of them in the US. I will say Chicago, correct me if I'm wrong, but Chicago is the closest consul so far, right, for Columbus area. And yes, go ahead.
Yeah, you're correct. And we have honorary consul in the state that can relay information. And I think that I think that's one of your takeaways. Make sure that you connect with them and be aware of what they can do for you locally. But yes, your contact after that for the Midwest is Chicago.
Yeah, it means I'm not a good representative for creating a new company in Ohio because I'm employed, and I will say I'm following HR's direction from my company on the subcontractors, I would say, from different cabinets, lawyers and from Michigan, and I would say that for sure the French Chamber of Commerce will be key for any role if somebody wants to create something, because I'm still thinking that the Ohio is one of the greatest place compared to West Coast California, price-wise, to develop anything as a startup for sure. But to answer the question clearly, I will say network will be something I should do better when we started here, for sure.
Well, Vincent, this is a great way to finish our webinar. Thank you so much for all the guest speakers. Thank you for joining our webinar. We have a couple of follow-up for you in terms of video of Valeo that we're going to share the link, the presentation, and the link of that presentation that you can share to your colleagues. So thank you again, and I wish you. We will share also the poll with our audience as well. So
I'm just asking everybody to answer our last question if they just have time, and
sounds good.
If I'm able to do that, of course. Yeah, I'm not able to do that. So I will send you all the question to the participant once it's done, and we're going to share with you all the slides and also the replay of the meeting if you need it, of course.
Wonderful. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.